Hey everyone, here's an example that might help with your lesson for chapter 6, decimal 4. It's probably going to help with page 238 to page 239. The shapes are different, but it's a very similar question. It says here, the triangle and octagon, pictured on the right, have perimeters that's sum is 200 millimeters, is what it says, not milliliters. So 200 is the sum. So sum means add it all up. So if we add all these sides up and all these 3 sides up, these 8 sides and these 3, all of it would add to 200 millimeters. The perimeter of the triangle itself, so just this triangle, is 120 millimeters. So these 3, the perimeter is the distance around. So this side plus this side plus this side would be 120 millimeters. What is the length of one side of the octagon? So just one of these sides. Okay, so we're going to set up an equation to figure this out, and then we're going to solve the equation. So looking here, we know that all of these sides plus these sides will equal 200 millimeters. So our equation is going to equal 200 millimeters. And we know that if we add the sides of the octagon to the sides of the triangle, that's how we'd get that. And we know the sides of the triangle is 120 millimeters. And we know the sides of the octagon would be, the perimeter of this would be each of these sides all added up. Now looking at this, we've got these little lines on here, which means that this is an equilateral octagon. They have all the exact same sides. So octagons have 8 sides. And so if you take 8 and multiply it by the length of one side, you get the length of all the sides added up. It's repeated addition. This plus this plus this plus this, this, and this, all the same length, would be 8 times you'd add it. So it's going to be 8 times the length of this octagon, which I'm going to use the variable C, because O is the first letter and it's taken, and so let's just use C for a variable. Doesn't really matter which one you pick. So the C is going to be one of these lengths, so that's why I drew a C up here. So now that we have our equation, we can figure out the length of one of these sides by looking at this equation and solving it. First step is to get rid of the constant, this extra thing that's not attached with multiplication or division to our variable. And to get rid of it, this is positive. The opposite of adding is subtraction, and we're going to subtract that same amount. But remember, anything we do to the left side of the equation, in order to keep it actually equal still, we need to also do to the other side. So we need to subtract 120 from this side. And what we're left with over here, this cancels with this, we're left with 8C equals 200 subtract 120 is 80. And our second step, because now we have 8C, we need to get rid of this coefficient that is with our variable. We need to do the opposite of multiplying, which is dividing. So we're going to divide by the same number. We're going to divide this side the same. Remember, anything you do one side, you need to do the other. And what we're left with here is C is 10. Okay? But because this was a word problem, we need to answer this, and we also want to verify. We're going to verify for our questions. All we do for verifying is write the same equation that we came up with to start with. We're going to write it out, 8C plus 120 equals 200, except where C is, we're going to replace with our what C is equal, what the variable is actually equal. Now, when it's the variable being multiplied, we need to put it in brackets so it's clear that we're doing 8 times 10, not 810. Okay, so 8 times 10 to solve this is 80. And then we just write down the rest, one step at a time, and then 80 plus 120, 8 plus 12 is 20, put the 0 back on, would be 200, and it is correct, so that means we did do this properly. If you don't get the same numbers on each side, it wasn't done correctly. And finally, write a sentence to answer the question. The length of one side of, sorry, I turned this. The octagon is, what was it? 10. And what unit is it? It's millimeters. It's 10 millimeters. And there we go.